we couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. Okay, and there were a number of times, my first year in AA, I'd come in, I was ignorant and all that stuff. And I would come in, some days, oh, I'm great, I'm wonderful and all this. But other days I'd come in and I was like, doing one of these, I'm so sorry. And people would walk up and say, you're right where you're supposed to be. Somebody else would come out, give me a hug. Somebody else come out, this too shall pass. See, that's no help. See? Keep coming back. No help. See? It's no solution. See? That's not being of real help to somebody else. See? It's nice, it's wonderful, yeah, maybe you care, but that ain't any help. See, I'm sitting here dying. I may go get drunk, I may blow my brains out. See? This isn't working. See? I've been coming back, it's still this way. See? I let it pass last time. It came back again. See? You gave me a hug. I felt better for 16 seconds. I still got it. See? That's not real help. I need a solution. See, what do they say? We couldn't seem to be of real help. What do you got to offer to people in AA who are suicidal, who aren't making it? See? We couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. You have a desire to be of real help to other people? See? If you're honest with yourself and find out no, see, there's a major shortcoming you got to get rid of. If that's what that is, that's a major shortcoming. If you're somebody in here with no desire to be of any assistance here. Okay, so they say, was not a basic solution of these bedevilments. Okay? Notice the word there, was not a basic solution. Underline the word solution. Okay? Write the word discussion up above it, and then reread the sentence. Okay? Not a basic discussion of these bedevilments more important? That changed the meaning of the sentence? Okay. You want to solve it or do you want to discuss it? I mean, it's real simple. Okay. You want to keep it? You want to be free of it? It's really simple. It was not a basic. See, everybody know what basic means? Fundamental. Solution of these bedevilments more important than whether we should see newsreels of lunar flight. What are the newsreels of lunar flight that play in your mind? See, what are your fantasies and your dreams and all the things you're looking for that you'd rather have, see, than a basic solution? What are all the things you're pursuing, see, that are way more important to you, see, than a spiritual awakening and a solution of these kind of things? See, just look at your experience. What are you after? Where are you going with it? How are you doing it? What is this thing called my program? What's it all designed to do? It's not a basic solution of these bedevilments. See, which bedevilments? The ones in the middle of page 52. See? All that's the second half of step 1. Life is unmanageable. Are those things true about you even though you're sober? See? They were all 100% true about me when I had the plug in the jug. That was one of the things that really baffled me about Alcoholics Anonymous. The longer I drank, the longer I didn't drink, see, the worse I felt. See, anybody got that experience? See, the longer you're sober, the worse it gets. It didn't make any sense to me. Yeah, till I read the book. See, everything didn't get hunky-dory. My life didn't turn into that, Elysian field, let's dance through the meadows, with the butterfly kind of thing, like I thought it would. And everybody else, it looked like it happened to them. Didn't happen to me. Okay? I went down the drain faster. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, was not a basic solution of these bedevilments more important than whether we should see newsreels of lunar flight? See, and if you don't think so, see, then what you need to ask yourself is, if the stuff in the middle of page 52 stays true in your sobriety, see, how long do you think you're going to be able to stay sober if that remains the condition of your life? See, if you don't think a solution, a basic solution, all that is important. See, that is an unmanageable life right there, step 1. If you don't find a solution for it, what are your chances of staying sober? What is the alternative? Okay, so the last 4 words are, of course it was. So that's pretty obvious, but it's only obvious if you got an open mind. It wasn't obvious to me my first year in AA, and I read it a number of times. But none of this was obvious to me then because my mind was kind of like a fist. Blam! Couldn't get anything in there. Okay, why don't we take a break and then we'll graph on page 52 now. So we've looked at the unmanageable life, started to ask ourselves, is that true about us? So do you have those kind of problems? Are they ongoing even though you're not doing drugs or alcohol at the present time? So do they seem to get worse in your experience? And it says, when we saw others solve their problems. So, you might notice in the AA groups that you go to that there will generally be some people in there, who don't seem to be full of problems. And when they talk, they seem to talk about the steps and a solution. They're by no means the majority in most meetings that I attend. But there are people there, who seem to have found a solution. And people with a solution, aren't there talking about their problems, discussing their problems. They have a solution and they're offering it to other folks. You might ask yourself, what do you want to be in Alcoholics Anonymous? Do you want to have a solution and offer that? When we saw others solve their problems by a simple reliance on the Spirit of the universe, we had to, what's had to mean? Stop doubting, the what? The power of God. Once again, remember last week we talked a whole lot, not about the person, but about the power. How the book keeps talking about power, not person. Our ideas did not work. Well, they either did or they didn't. So what do you need to ask yourself about that statement? The God idea, notice in those 2 sentences, our is followed by ideas, plural. And then it says the God idea, singular, did. Did what? It works. And the Wright brothers' almost childish faith, that they could build a machine which would fly, was the mainspring of their accomplishment. Does that make sense? If they hadn't had faith in what they were doing, that it was possible, they never would have continued on and actually have accomplished it. Okay? Without that, nothing could have happened. So what does the example show us? Well, mathematicians have told them it couldn't be done. All the previous evidence told them it couldn't be done. Even some religious people told them it couldn't be done. They did it. So what was more powerful than reason? Their faith. It was more powerful than reason. Faith is a very powerful thing. Without that, nothing could have happened. We agnostics and atheists were sticking. Someone who is sticking is stuck. Stuck in what? Problems in the middle of the page. We were sticking to the idea that self-sufficiency would solve our problems. Well, you might look and see if you're stuck in that idea. Thinking that self-help and psychiatry and therapy and discussions and thises and that's, they are going to solve the problem. The little child within, that'll solve the problem. One more self-help book, that'll solve the problem. Are you stuck there? Does that make you an atheist or an agnostic? There was a pretty spiritual guy who came out of India and lived in the United States for a long time. His name was Jiddu Krishnamurti. Anybody ever heard of him?
Yeah.
He's a pretty well-known kind of guy. Lived down in Ojai and died a few years ago. And I saw a movie of him one time. He had traveled over to India, and people all over the world knew who he was and wanted him to show up and be the chairman of their particular group and all that. So he was sitting on this platform in a white chair, wearing white clothes, and there were white ribbons and white flowers and white everything. And he's sitting out there and he's just looking holier than hell. And here's all these people sitting out on the lawn, thousands of them. And he's discoursing like a son of a gun. Discourse, isn't it one? And they're all nodding their heads, da-da-da-da-da. Suddenly he stopped. There's about this 30 seconds of the most ominous silence ever. And he's just looking. He just stopped talking. He's just looking. And he says, a lot of you people follow me around the world. He said, I've seen some of these faces before. Some of you live here, but a lot of you have followed me around the world. And he said, you listen to me talk. And he says, I talk a lot. I do my best to carry a message here. He says, and you say you believe. But if you believe, why don't you change? See? His whole place went, whoa. See? If you believe, why don't you change? See? So it's easy to say, I believe. See? What's the evidence? Yeah. See? Saying we believe and sticking to self-sufficiency is called hypocrisy, isn't it? See? Isn't that called taking God's name in vain and all that stuff? See? Stuff you might look at. See? One more, forms of prejudice and old ideas. Where are you with that? See? Look at yourself, not other people. Okay, when others showed us, demonstrated that God's sufficiency worked with them, see, we began to feel like those who had insisted the rights would never fly. Now, logic is great stuff. Everybody know what logic is? Reasoning process that leads to, correct conclusions. See, logic is great stuff. We liked it, and we still like it. Now, this paragraph was very important to me as a newcomer because I'd gotten sober in a couple of very anti-intellectual groups where it was not okay to ask questions. All newcomers were told to sit down and shut up, check their brains at the door, utilize, don't analyze, that kind of stuff. So I liked this in the book a lot. Logic is great stuff. We liked it. We still like it. Not by chance. We were given. You might ask, who did the giving here? The power to reason, that's our thinking and our mental capacities, to examine the evidence of our senses. Everybody know what your senses are? Sight, taste, touch, all that, hearing, and to draw conclusions. And if you just think about that logically, that's how we go about telling the true from the false in the world we live in. Is by the way we reason and the evidence, that is presented to us in our life about anything we're reasoning about. Now, in my particular case, I went through life thinking, using my power of reasoning, but never examining the evidence of what was going on. So as long as I just operated strictly on my reason, I never stopped to look at what was actually happening to me and to the people around me and to my life, and so I just continued on my merry way drunk and doing a lot of very selfish, self-centered things. So I was never able to draw a conclusion. Number one conclusion is, hey, I'm powerless over alcohol. But if we reason and examine the evidence of our own senses, we're going to be able to draw a couple of conclusions. One is about step one and the other is about step two. So it ain't by chance we have this ability. It says that is one of man's magnificent attributes. Have you ever noticed that your cat can't do that? Your dog can't do it? Birds don't do it? Armadillos don't do that? Only human beings can do it. And who are the people, that are screwing up the planet? It ain't the cats and the birds and the armadillos. So that's one of man's magnificent attributes. We agnostically inclined would not feel satisfied with a proposal which does not lend itself to reasonable approach and interpretation. So if you're a mind kind of a person with a lot of why daddy questions and doubts and all, that's great. That's cool. You don't have to check your brains at the door. If you're not into hugs and self-esteem and all that, doesn't look like that'll solve your problems. That's okay. That's cool. Don't have to do that. You can ask your questions, have your doubts, and just begin to take a look at the evidence. So hence means therefore. We are at pains to tell why we think our present faith is reasonable, why we think it more sane and logical to believe than not to believe. That's just the opposite of what I thought all my life. I thought it was pretty insane and illogical to be a God-relying, God-fearing, church-attending, religious kind of human being. So we think it more sane and logical to believe than not to believe, and why we say our former thinking was soft and mushy when we threw up our hands in doubt and said, what? What's an agnostic? He doesn't know. No matter what we do, we just keep coming up with, I don't know. Beats me. Don't understand. What's it all about, Alfie? I don't know what the program is. I've met people in Alcoholics Anonymous, who've been around for 20, 30 years. And they sit in meetings and say, well, I don't know how the program works. I don't know how I'm sober. I just know, see, that I kept coming back. See, I don't understand those kind of folks. See, throwing up our hands in doubt and saying we don't know. And when we became alcoholics crushed by cocaine, booze, Johnny Walker, speed, crushed by what? See, what's the word self mean? Who does that apply to? You? Yeah. Okay. That's me. So you guys weren't crushed by me. You were crushed by what? Self-imposed crisis. See? Have you ever wondered? Have you ever had an experience where you know somebody in life who drinks more than you do, but they don't get the results that you do? See? They actually consume more alcohol than you do, see, and yet you get the results you get, and they're going on living a life that, you know. See, has that ever made you wonder? See? That it must not be the alcohol? See? Okay.
I don't understand this. When we became alcoholics, crushed by a self-imposed crisis, it's self-imposed, and we didn't ask for this disease, and we didn't do anything to get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Okay. Are you willing to hang on to the question over to the middle of the next page?
Yes.
And I think the book will answer it for you.
Okay.
Anybody else confused by the statement? Okay. So you might ask yourself if the confusion isn't coming out of a belief that the alcohol has done it to you. Still hanging on to a belief that it's the alcohol and the drugs, see, that did it to you. Mm-hmm. So more about alcoholism talked about what? Mm-hmm. Which centers in the mind.
But the disease isn't self-imposed.
No, the crisis is self-imposed. You know what crisis means?
It's a life wreck.
Okay, so a good definition of crisis is right over in the middle of page 52. Okay. When we became alcoholics, crushed by a self-imposed crisis, we could not postpone. Everybody know what that means? Can't put it off. Can't evade. So you do some kind of intellectual cha-cha around this whole thing one more time. No problem here. Okay. We had to fearlessly face. Everybody know what face means?
Face the enemy. Engage.
Fearlessly face the proposition that either God is everything or else he's what? Nothing. See? So there can't be a half measure when it comes to God. See, if God either is or he isn't. Does that make sense to everybody? That's logical. See, even those of us who are atheists and agnostics and all that, see, I mean, it's either it's true or it's false. God either is or he isn't. See, God's everything or else he's nothing. See, but to who? To who? Or whom? See? Does it do any of you any good if I work the steps? If I believe in God, have faith in God, clean my house, make my amends, and live my life on a spiritual basis, does that do you any good at all? No. See, you're not gonna get recovered as a result of me doing my spiritual work. Okay? See, I'm not gonna get recovered as a result of you guys doing yours. See, I got to do mine, you got to do yours. See, so God is everything to who? To each of us individually. See, God either is the solution or God is not the solution. Are you clear? Okay. What's step 2? We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That either is the solution or it is not the solution. See, and everything less than that, see, is not the solution. It doesn't say came to believe that meetings and hugs and activities and discussions could restore us to sanity. It's that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. See? It's a logical proposition. You either believe it or you don't. Okay, so God either is or isn't. What was our choice to be? Okay, now for all the people in AA who like to say we have choices now that we're sober, here's your choice. This is it. See? Anybody who understands their own alcoholism knows that they don't have a choice in whether they're going to drink or use drugs again. There is no choice in that. See? There is a choice in recover or not. See? Accept the solution or don't. See? We can't make anybody do it. See? All we can do is lay it out, see, for everybody who hasn't got it yet. See? So what was our choice to be? See? So you got to take that question personally. See? What are you going to choose here? What are you going to decide? Okay, now arrived at this point, we were squarely confronted with the question of faith. See, why is that? Well, especially for those of us who have been religious and have believed in God and stayed drunk, see, the evidence shows us that a belief is insufficient. See, no matter how much we've believed in God, we kept getting drunk. See, so a belief ain't good enough. See, so why are we confronted with the question of faith? Because belief, see, means you can still be a spectator. Faith means action. See? If we all loaded up into a bus and I got to be the tour guide and we drove up to the edge of Niagara Falls, and there was a cable stretched across the falls on a windy day, and there's Richard standing right at the end of the cable, and he's got this big old wheelbarrow there. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Niagara Falls. If you just look over to your right near the edge of the falls, you'll see Richard with a wheelbarrow. Richard has pushed that wheelbarrow across that cable 4,312 times without a mishap. How many people here believe me when I say that? How many of you would? Okay? There are a couple of people who'd believe it, and a bunch that wouldn't. All right? Now, all the people who don't believe it get to stay in the bus. Those of you who believe, come with me, hop in the wheelbarrow. See, that would take some faith, wouldn't it? See? Faith in something you've never seen before. See? But what if I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you stay in this bus, see, an atom bomb is going to explode here in 18 seconds. And your only chance of survival is to hop in that wheelbarrow, see, and go with Richard. See, once you hop in the wheelbarrow and get 3 feet out there, see, you're powerless, aren't you? See, you got to have stuff like trust. Does that make sense? See? You got faith? See, that's what these steps are all about. So you're going out on this cable with God behind your wheelbarrow. See? The problem here is you got to understand whose wheelbarrow you're actually in right now. See? Who's been pushing your wheelbarrow up to this point? See, that's what we fail to realize. See, we all think we're on solid ground. No way, if you're an alcoholic. See? You already got something pushing your wheelbarrow. And I'd much rather have God pushing mine than what was pushing mine. So you got to take your own look. See, arrived at this point, we were squarely confronted with the question of faith. We couldn't duck the issue. How many people tried to duck the issue? Anybody? Try to kid yourself. Self-delusion. Yeah, right. I read the 24-hour-a-day book. There it is. See, all this kind of stuff. Some of us had already walked far over the bridge of reason, notice capital letters there, toward the desired shore of faith. The outlines and the promise of the new land brought luster to tired eyes and fresh courage to flagging spirits. So you walk into AA and you see some people who are recovered. Hey, this looks pretty cool. Friendly hands is stretched out in welcome. See, we were grateful that reason had brought us so far. See, but somehow we couldn't quite step ashore. See, and it seems to be an unfortunate fact in Alcoholics Anonymous that about 9 out of 10 of us never make it to shore. See, that's just an observable fact. Most people who come in here leave. See, they don't make it. See, what is the problem? See, perhaps we've been leaning too heavily on reason that last mile, and we did not like to lose our support. See, so that was natural. But let us think a little more closely without knowing it. See? So for most of us, see, we didn't even know it. See, unconscious, in other words. Without knowing it, had we not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of faith. Well, where do we stand? Go back to the middle of the page. Alcoholics crushed by a self-imposed crisis we can't put off or do some kind of cha-cha around. So here we are on the bridge of reason doing the I don't know cha-cha. Beats me. I don't know. No musts in the program. I'm okay. God's good for you holy people. All that stuff. Okay, so what got us screwed up, is he saying? A certain kind of faith. Faith in what? See, brought us to this crisis. Next page. For did we not believe in what? Our own reasoning. Okay? Did we not have confidence, see, in our ability to do what? Okay? Don't you love to give your opinions? I did. See? Do you believe what you think? See? Don't you automatically assume that a lot of what you think is true? And other people are wrong? I did. See? There's lots of evidence. Anybody's got an open mind and takes a look. See? The more I looked at this, the more I could understand that all the way back through my life, even when I was a little kid, 2 and 3 years old, my mom would be either hitting me or yelling at me. See? And I'd be sitting there, see, with a fuck you attitude, but I didn't know what fuck you it meant at that point. See? But that defiant kind of attitude, you know, and this kind of thinking, see, it says she doesn't know what she's talking about. See? And wait till I grow up, you won't be able to do that to me anymore. See? I have never, ever had confidence in anybody else's ability to think. I didn't trust my parents. I didn't really think they knew what they were doing. I thought I knew better. 2, 3 years old, all the way back. As far as I can remember, it's been that way in me. See, so you need to look at your own experience. Have you had confidence in your ability to think things through and solve your own problems and put information together, be logical and think straight, see, get a new idea and make it work, and say all that kind of stuff. See? And all you got to do is take a look. Has it worked? See? So what was that but a sort of faith? See, so yes, we have been faithful. All of us have the faith required for spiritual awakening. See, abjectly faithful to the thing that is pushing our wheelbarrow at the moment. And what is its name? The God of reason. Our self-centered thinking. Okay, so here we are. See, we believe what we think. Is that true? Does that make sense to you? See, that's a very apt description of my life, even in Alcoholics Anonymous at the beginning. See, now if you can see that that's true about you, the same as it was about me, go back to page 20. Somewhere on page 20, when we went through chapter 2, I asked you to put a definition in the margin of your book. The definition was of the word obsession. Everybody see it? What doesn't it respond to? Okay? So, see, if you got faith in what you think and what's going on with you, see, and you're a real alcoholic, what's got more power than what you have faith in? You're doomed. See, there's a bigger God on the block. See, and all of us, if we just look at our own experience, see, we'll see that that's true. See, that despite anything we think or believe, see, we keep getting drunk. That recurring, persistent idea that's more powerful than doesn't respond to reason, see, is about drinking alcohol and doing drugs. Okay? So back on page 54. Yes, we had been faithful, abjectly faithful to the God of reason. So in one way or another, we discovered that faith had been involved all the time. So a lot of us like to tell ourselves, well, I just don't have any faith. See? Wrong. See, we do. See, but we're surrendered in the wrong direction. See, and now they're going to talk about being surrendered in some other direction. We found, too, that we had been worshipers. Worship means to make God out of something or somebody. Okay? What a state of mental gooseflesh that used to bring on. Everybody know what mental gooseflesh is? If you don't know what it is, think back to when you were a teenager and had your first crush on somebody. That'll show you what mental gooseflesh is. Okay, had we not variously worshipped people? Have you worshipped people? Have you put people on pedestals? Thought they'd solve your problems? Looked up to them? All that? Has it failed you? Have you worshipped sentiment? See, falling in love with love? See, people who worship sentiment are the folks who are really into feelings and emotions and all that stuff in AA. Sentiment? See, it's human stuff. Things. Anybody materialistic in here besides me? See, give me a new this, a bigger that, more of those things. Shinier this, more knobs and buttons. I want it louder. See, I want it faster and wider. See, I want 16 of those, and I want them in different colors. See, all that stuff. Okay, money. Anybody here like money? Worship money? Make God out of money? See, money was, to me, was freedom and power. Could get me laid, get me fed, and do anything. Let me travel, excitement. Money was a very powerful thing. Worship me. Okay? And ourselves. How much time you spend looking in the mirror? Okay? How much time do you think about me? See? Meaning yourself. Have you worshipped stuff like that? Have you made God out of stuff like that? Have you tried to draw strength and solutions from these things in your life? See, most of us have bounced around in that whole list, and here we are. See, pretty obviously it doesn't work. See, so we're not here to say any of that's bad. See? We're here to say, see, if you're an alcoholic and you're looking for a solution to this problem of I can't stay sober and live, see, you might ask yourself, do these things work for you? See, they may be neat and fun and wonderful and all kinds of stuff, but do they work? Okay? And then with a better motive, had we not worshipfully beheld the sunset, the sea, or a flower? Anybody into nature? Ah, nature. Okay? I love to go to the mountains, the seashore, the desert. That's where I feel spiritual. Da, 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 da. Who of us had not loved something or somebody? How much do these feelings, these loves, and these worships have to do with pure reason? See, little or nothing, we saw at last. See, were not these things the tissue out of which our lives were constructed? Did not these feelings, after all, determine the course of our existence? Okay, see, so have you noticed, and we've talked about it a bit as we've gone through the book, that quite often our actions are different than our thinking? So some of us run on our thinking and some of us run on our feelings. But no matter what you've been running on, see, where did it get you? See, what have you constructed in your life? See, I constructed a smoke and ruin. So I can't trust my feelings any more than I can trust my thinking. So you might ask yourself, are your feelings and your emotions human things? Anybody know what B in the ABCs is on page 60? No human power can have relieved our alcoholism. See? And yet these same things that we have, see, are the same things that we need in order to become spiritually awakened. So it was impossible to say we had no capacity for faith or love or worship because we all have had faith and loved and worshipped. See, we're all surrendered, see, to things in this world. Does that make sense to you? See, we're surrendered to science and medicine, technology, and our own thinking and our feelings and what we want, where we're going, and who we've made heroes out of, and whatever various pedestals and temples we've constructed. But do they solve your problem? See, is there a solution there for you? See, the book is saying, see, what we need is a simple belief in a power greater than all of this. Okay? So in one form or another, we have been living by faith and little else. See, so we have faith. See, we're surrendered in the wrong direction. So you got to look. See, what have you been surrendered to? What does your experience tell you? See? If something hasn't worked for about 15 years, is there any likelihood that it's going to work? See? You need to aim your faith in some other direction. Okay, imagine life without faith. If it were nothing left but pure reason, it wouldn't be life. But we believed in life, of course we did. We could not prove life in the sense you can prove a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points, yet there it was. Now, where it was? See? Well, take a look. See, does your body do a whole lot of things without your participation? See? Does your hair grow? Your fingernails grow? Your cells divide and die? You get a cut and it heals. See, do you swallow and blink and your pupils dilate and all kinds of things go on, see, with you that don't require your consent. See, it just happens. See, what is that? See? What is all that? Is that called life? See, it doesn't much give a damn how we feel, what we think. It just goes on. See? Have you noticed how the whole world just kind of goes on regardless of how you feel and how you think? See? I'd sit with all this self-pity and depression and all that, see, and just notice that life went on. I'd just get more resentful. Because it didn't seem to want to stop, pick me up. See, it says you can join us, but if you don't want to, see, you can stay here and be all full of that. See, there it is. Okay. So could we still say the whole thing was nothing but a mass of electrons created out of nothing, meaning nothing, and whirling on to a destiny of nothingness? See, are you saying that? There is no God, there is no higher power. If I don't solve the problem, I'm going to blow my brains out. Okay. Of course we couldn't. The electrons themselves seem more intelligent than that, at least so the chemist said. Hence means therefore. See, we saw that reason isn't everything. Where does reason go on? In our minds. See, so is there something other than what goes on in your mind? I mean, it's pretty evident, right, that there's a lot of other things beside what goes on in our mind. See, so we saw that reason isn't everything. See, but the logical proposition on the previous page was that God is everything, or else he's nothing. See? So we believe in what we think, see, but what we think is way less than everything. Therefore, what goes on in our minds is something less than God. Is that pretty clear to everybody? See? So if it's something less than God, what label could we pin on it? Human, self, will, self-reliance, self-confidence, self-esteem, something that I got. Okay. We saw that reason isn't everything. Neither is reason, as most of us use it, entirely dependable. Say, how's your life gone? Anybody in here make fundamental mistakes like thinking you're a great judge of character and then hang out with some pretty weird characters? You just, anybody had a bunch of sour marriages and all that, see, thinking that love was the solution? All that kind of stuff. Doing the same things over and over and over again, getting the same results over and over and over again, never noticing that this ain't working. See, ain't entirely dependable. See? Are your feelings entirely dependable? Are your emotions entirely dependable? Is your thinking entirely dependable? What are you dependent on? Is the advice you get from other people entirely dependable? What about people who proved a man could never fly? Yet we've been seeing another kind of flight, a spiritual liberation from this world, people who rose above their problems. They said God made these things possible. And we only smiled. Yeah, right. Give me a break. God, spiritual awakening, my ass. We had seen spiritual release, but like to tell who it ain't what. Isn't true. Okay? Be honest. See, have you told yourself this is not a reality? It's not true? Spiritual awakening, for me, not achievable, not doable, not necessary, not the truth. See, I'm going to do it with a little child. I'm going to do it with my emotions. I'm going to do it with my feelings. I'm going to do it with my mind. I'm going to do it with my beliefs and my friends. Okay, actually we were fooling who? Are you? Have you been? See, actually, we're fooling ourselves. 4. Please underline the 3 words after 4. Deep down where? In. Okay, now if we all walked out on the street, went over to Walmart and grabbed about the first 100 people we saw in the parking lot and asked them all, see, if they believed in God. And if they said yes, we said, would you please point to the location of God? Where would they point? Everybody do it. Almost everybody would point there, right? Way up out. See, so there's a fundamental belief, one more time. See, a prejudice. See, a preconceived idea that God is way up out there somewhere. All right? Now, what does this say? Deep down in. See, deep down in who? Deep down in my pastor. Deep down in Bill Wilson. Deep down in what? Every man, woman, and child. Not some, not a few, not the chosen, see, not the good. Deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. Now, it may be obscured. Everybody know what obscured means? Covered up by 3 things. Calamity means great personal misfortune. Okay? So that means all the crap that's happened to you in your life. See, and some of us have a bigger load of crap than others. So you may have been sexually molested. You may have been abandoned. There's all kinds of emotional and physical abuse. See, foster homes, orphanages, death, disease, all kinds of stuff. See, that all comes under the category of calamity. See, calamity produces something called pain. When you have pain, do you have it way up out or deep down in? See, it ain't outside you, is it? It's deep down in. Okay, so whatever shit's happened to you, that's what they're talking about. See, by pomp, see, that's our pride and our intellectual arrogance and not me and our defiance and I'm smarter than you and look what I got and look what I still have and I haven't gone that. See, now, my education, my intellect, and all that. See, now, where are my ideas? Are they way up out or are they also deep down in? So piled right on top of all the pain, see, is all my ideas and my pride and all that kind of stuff. Okay, and by worship of other things. That's being a materialist. See? It's worldly goods that are going to make me happy. One more microwave, one more piece of ass, one more relationship, one more drink, one more piece of cake, one more job, one more paycheck. See? Worship of other things. Where is the desire for all those kind of things? Is it way up out or is it deep down in? Deep down in. Okay, see, so we learn right here, see, that the problem and the solution are both deep down in. Okay, the solution is covered up by the problem. All right, see, and once you understand that, then the fourth and fifth and eighth and ninth steps make a whole lot more sense to you. See? Remember they told us at the beginning of this chapter where and how were we to find this power greater than ourselves? Well, we're going to find it deep down in, but if we go looking, the first thing we're going to find is our pride and our materialism and our calamities. See, and that's why a personal house cleaning is necessary. And as long as we hold on to these other ideas, see, that God's way up out over there somewhere, and the solution is to have an experience of God, then you got to die and go there before you can have the solution. See? But what if it's true, see, that you can find an experience of God within yourself, whether you're a man, woman, young, old, see? Whether you're a good person or not a good person, see? Doesn't make any difference. What if that's true? Is that a new idea for you? Okay. For faith in a power greater than ourselves and miraculous demonstrations of that power where? In human lives. See, our facts as old as man himself. So, see, are you closed-minded to a miraculous demonstration of the power of God in your life? Willing to read about it in somebody else's life. But can it happen in your life? Is it really true, see, that you could be free, see, of the things that are eating your lunch? Even though you're sober. Do you believe that? What's step 2? Came to believe that a power greater than me, see, can do for me what I can't do for myself. We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup. So that's not cosmetics there. That means our character or self. Just as much as the feeling we have for a friend. Sometimes we had to search fearlessly, but he was there. Where? Deep down in. Not way up out. He was as much a fact as we were. Do you believe that? Are you willing to find that out? Whoa. We found the great reality where? Deep down within us. See, not way up out. See, we haven't died yet. We haven't gone to heaven yet. And yet they have found something. In the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. Okay? For those of you who are really into mind stuff, so you might underline that sentence and then think this through. See, it says in the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. See, remember they used the terms reasonable approach and interpretation? See, so I don't hurl this out as a challenge, but I did do it. See, I analyzed this right down to the very last thing could possibly be true. See, and what they say there is the truth. In the last analysis, it's only there that he may be found. See? Now that went opposite some of the things I believed all my life, but see, you might check it out for yourself. See, use your brains. See? Think it through. You'll find the same thing. In the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. It was so with us. The evidence will prove that to you. Okay, now here comes a guarantee. This is very important if you're someone with a whole bunch of doubts, or maybe you've tried AA a few times and relapsed and all that sort of stuff. It says we can only clear the ground a bit if our testimony helps sweep away prejudice. Whose prejudice? Enables you to think. What does it say? Think what? Yeah. So you're not to think, but to think honestly. And encourages you to search diligently where? Not somewhere else. Then, if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. So you do have a choice about whether you want to recover or not by spiritual means. Okay, let's all read the next sentence together out loud, and I hope you'll underline this. With this attitude, you cannot fail.
Not fail.
All right, now what does you cannot fail mean? It's a guarantee, isn't it? It's a 100% guarantee. See, and I'll make that 100% guarantee myself. With this attitude, you can't fail. If you're honest, open-minded, follow the directions, have the attitude they mention here. See, it's not free, but if you can muster up the requirements and do the work, see, there's a 100% guarantee that you can not only be sober, see, but you can be happy. With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. The consciousness of the belief means the experience of it. Step 12. So it starts with a belief at step 2, it ends with an experience at step 12. In this book, you will read the experience of a man who thought, where did he think this? He was an atheist. His story is so interesting, and some of it should be told now. His change of heart, not his change of mind, was dramatic, convincing, and moving. Our friend was a minister's son. He attended church school where he became rebellious at what he thought an overdose of religious education. Okay, anybody develop a closed mind, see, from school, early religious education? Me too. Okay, anybody in here would define a good portion of your life as rebellious? Yeah, right. Okay, see, what you'll find, see, is that your rebelliousness probably is not going to go away. See, what I found, see, is that the rebelliousness I've had in my life, see, got turned around. It's coming from a different place, but I'm still pretty much a rebel. See, it's not something I'm proud of or ashamed of. It's just, that's it, see, and it helps me do what I do. See, so if you're rebellious and been defiant and all that, see, that might not necessarily just leave your life, see, but it might get redirected, and it can be a good thing. So, see, stuff like doubt and rebellion and fight and all that, don't worry about it, see. That's not going to prevent you from recovering. All you need is an open mind. Okay, for years thereafter. Anybody in here gone through something called years thereafter? Everybody knows those three words? For years thereafter? Okay. Nobody in here who got drunk once, fell off a skateboard, and came to AA? Okay. For years thereafter, he was dogged by trouble and frustration. Business failure, insanity, fatal illness, suicide, these calamities. Remember what covers up God? Calamity was the first one. These calamities in his immediate family embittered and depressed him. So actually, begin to ask yourself, you had a lot of calamity so far in your life. See? Would you describe yourself as bitter? See? Have you suffered depression? See? Are those pretty good companions of yours, people that you know a lot about? Okay, post-war disillusionment. See, look these words up. Are you disillusioned? Okay? I was very disillusioned when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. Post-war disillusionment, ever more serious alcoholism, impending mental and physical collapse. Everybody know that? Impending doom. Ever had that? Okay, brought him to the point of self-destruction. Everybody know what self-destruction means? It blows brains out. Dive off a bridge. Okay. Does that paragraph make sense to anybody in here? Is that kind of like, looks like some of your life, no matter how old you are? Disillusioned, depressed, miserable, afraid. Okay. Now, one night, when confined in the hospital, he was approached by an alcoholic who walked up and gave him a big hug. Wrong. He was approached by an alcoholic who had what? Had a spiritual experience. Where do you think this alcoholic got it? Free?
Montgomery Ward.
Yeah, Montgomery Ward in the spiritual department. It's right next to the willingness.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was
Okay. Our friend's gorge rose. Anybody doesn't know what your gorge is? You get really mad and all this bile and stuff comes up in your throat and you have to swallow it. When you're really pissed off, that's called your gorge. Our friend's gorge rose as he bitterly, see, we've seen that word bitter in both paragraphs here. Check yourself. He bitterly cried out, if there is a God, he certainly hasn't done anything for who? Me. Anybody had that view? And help me at all. See, is that a self-centered kind of view? You ever wonder what you can do for God, fellow man? I never did. I always wanted God and my fellow man to do something for me. He hadn't done anything for me. Okay, but later, alone in his room, he asked himself this question. See, so it's very interesting that this guy, see, even though he was kind of bitter and rebellious, and he probably gave a real blast of fecal matter to the guy who 12-stepped him, see, when he went back to his room, see, it turns out that he's open-minded. See, and so even though his pride wouldn't let him show it to the alcoholic who 12-stepped him, see, it says later alone in his room, see, he's open-minded considering what the guy has told him. See, later alone in his room, he asked himself this question: is it possible that all the religious people I have known are wrong? See, there's a yes or no answer to that. See, and notice that they don't give us the answer. Some people come up with different answers here, depending on your point of view and what you've been through. See, it's a very open-minded kind of question, though. See, is it possible that all the religious people I have known are wrong? So while pondering the answer, he felt as though he was in Disneyland. Oh, I'm so happy now. Okay, see, so here he is in the hospital, see, at the end of what looks like a pretty bad drunk, see, with impending mental and physical collapse and suicidally depressed, and a guy from AA walks up, see, and dumps gasoline on his fire. Tells him the truth about what's going on. See, he didn't hug him. See, he 12-stepped him. See, told him that what's going on is fatal. See, explained the disease of alcoholism to him. They probably told him something like, as bad as it is right now, bud, next time's going to be worse. And the time after that, you might not live through. Okay? There is a solution to this. It's called a higher power. We got some steps in a program. Are you interested? And here's this guy going, having something called no fun. Okay? See, and a lot of times, see, if you're going to be effective in working with other people in Alcoholics Anonymous, you got to tell them the truth. See? That doesn't make you the most popular kid on the block sometimes. Okay? So he felt as though he lived in hell. See, people who feel like they're living in hell, see, don't feel like going out and hugging people either. See? And that's perfectly okay. Then, like a thunderbolt, a great thought came. So how many thoughts is this? One. Wonder where this thought came from. It crowded out all else. What does all else refer to?
Worldly clamors.
Yeah, his worldly clamors and his ideas, his own thinking. Okay, so here comes this thought, see, and this thought crowds out all of what he's going through, see, and it's apparently a crystal clear kind of thought. It says, who are you to say there is no God? See, and you might ask yourself that question. See, if you're somebody who doesn't think, see, that a serious search for God and a following of the directions is necessary to recover from alcoholism. See, who are you to say there is no God? Interesting question that all of us can ask ourselves, no matter where we are, just looking at the evidence of our own life. Oh, I'm God myself. I'm all-powerful. I'm omnipotent. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm suicidal. I'm depressed. I'm miserable. I'm unhappy. Who are you? What's going on with you who say there is no God? Okay, so here comes this thought. This guy's going, oh, shit. This man recounts he tumbled out of bed to his knees. In a few seconds, he was overwhelmed by a conviction of the presence of a new Harley Davidson. No. Presents. Isn't that what you all want? Presents? I used to think God was Santa Claus. Give me presents, but not presents spelled this way. Presence of God poured over and through him with the certainty and majesty of a great tide at flood. The barriers he had built through the years were swept away. See, anybody in here been in, especially one of the kind of severe drug treatment programs? Any of the My House, Synanon, any of those kind of things? You know, where they put you on the hot seat and beat the holy hell out of you and tell you to drop your defenses? Anybody been through any of that? The hot seat kind of stuff? You ever noticed you've been totally unable to drop your defenses? Anybody found that? Yeah, see? We don't have power to drop our defenses. See? People sitting there, you know, get real, get honest, drop those defenses, da-da-da. You ain't got the power to do it. Stop trying to do it. See, the barriers he had built through the years were swept away. See, what does barriers mean? It's defenses. See, but how did the defenses go? See, God removed them. He didn't do anything about it. He couldn't do anything about it. He's a sick alcoholic obsessed with alcohol. See, so if you're somebody who has had a hard time getting real, getting honest, telling people how you really feel, don't worry about it. It's all right. You don't need any self-confidence. You don't have to deal with feelings, any of that stuff. Not necessary. See? These are all things, see, that God is supposed to take care of if you just walk the steps. See? So the barriers, does that make sense? You know, if you're powerless, right? So the barriers he had built through the years were swept away. He stood in the presence of infinite power and love. Sound like something major going on in this guy's life? Remember the term they used on the previous page, miraculous demonstrations of that power in human life? See, are you sitting here going, nah, it didn't really happen, or it may have happened, but it can't happen to me? See, that kind of stuff. He had stepped from bridge to shore. What bridge to what shore? Bridge of reason to the shore of faith. Right? See, for the first time, he lived in conscious companionship with his Creator. Would you like to have that happen in your life? Are you willing to go for it? See, thus was our friend's cornerstone fixed in place. Everybody know what a cornerstone is? Everybody got it? Okay. No later vicissitude has shaken it. Have you ever seen the bumper sticker that says shit happens? See, on somebody's car or truck? See, that's what vicissitude means. The shit that happens. Okay? It's a long word. It just means the shit that happens. So no later shit happening has shaken it. Okay, now let's all read the next two sentences together out loud. I'd like you to see, underline them, make a reference to page 84 and 85. Ask yourself, do you believe this? Do you need this? And do you want this? See, his alcoholic problem was taken away. Read with me. That very night, years ago, it disappeared. See? Now that's either true or it's false, and that's the solution, or it isn't. See? And when this happens in a person's life, they don't need to run to meetings to stay sober. You don't need to be counseled and therapied and dumped and shrinking and, therapy, all that stuff. You don't need that if the problem has disappeared. Okay? You're set free from the problem that brought you here. So now there are some requirements to keep that condition ongoing, and that's what steps 10, 11, and 12 are all about. See, but there's this thing that has gone on in AA and NA and a lot of the other AA meetings, see, that you're going to be dependent on meetings and people the rest of your life. That is not true. See? You're either going to get set free or you're not going to get set free. See? God has power to do that or God doesn't have power to do that. See? It's either true or it's false. It's what my book told me when I was new. See, when I did it, I found out it's true. There are people in AA who say it's not true, but I've proven it to be true in my own case. So you got to ask yourself, is that what you want? Is the book lying to you? Okay? Were these people all lying when they wrote it down? Okay? His alcoholic problem was taken away that very night years ago. It disappeared. Now, a disappeared problem means no problem, right? Remember the term we saw in the middle of page 18? Ex-problem drinker who has found this solution can help somebody else. Okay. Save for a few brief moments of temptation, the thought of drink has never returned, and at such times a great revulsion has risen up in him. Okay. Revulsion doesn't mean puking, it means a pulling away. Seemingly, he could not drink even if he would. Would you like that to be the truth? Would you like to have that kind of a defense against alcohol? God had restored his sanity. Would you like that to be true in your life? Is it really possible? Is that what, sanity looks like? Okay. Right. Reread, see page 84 and 85 about that major promise. Last half of 84, top of page 85. Says it very clearly. Okay. But it means, work. There are musts that have to be done in order to bring that about. Okay, now what is this but a miracle healing? Now anybody in here, if you're like me and a real alcoholic, you understand the word miracle if you understand what they're saying. This is a miracle for anybody who knows they can't stop drinking on their own. It is a miracle. Yet its elements are simple. He got the hell kicked out of him. Circumstances made him willing to believe. What circumstances? Read that first paragraph again on the top of page 56. What have the circumstances been in your life? Ask yourself if you're willing to believe and to do the work. If you're not, ask yourself what kind of circumstances are going to make you willing to believe. What's going to happen? Remember the end of page, or the end of chapter 3, where it says most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled. Some pretty bad circumstances have to occur before we get open-minded enough to accept it. He humbly, and you might underline the word after humble, humbly. See, it says offered. And if you're familiar with the prayer of step 3, see, the first part of it is, God, I offer myself to thee. It doesn't say I offer my drugs, my alcohol. It says I offer myself. See? So notice, what did this guy offer?
His life.
Himself. Yeah. What did half measures get us in AA? Nothing. He humbly offered himself. Here I am. See? To his maker. Then he knew. See? So who had to go first? He did. Okay, even so has God restored us all to our right minds. What does the word all mean? Everyone. Man, woman, child, right? Okay, to this man the revelation was sudden. Okay, some of us grow into it more slowly, and we talked about that when we went through the chapter on spiritual experience. See, more slowly means in a period of months as we work the steps. See, not years, see, matter of months. Profound alteration and reaction to life in a matter of months. Okay, some of us go into it more slowly, but he has come to how many? Oh. See, who did what? Now they're going to repeat it one more time. When we drew near to him, but what direction are we traveling when we do that? Are we traveling out or traveling in? Yeah. He disclosed himself to us. It's a pretty major promise. See, that you don't hear much talked about in AA. You ever hear anybody read that sentence as a promise in an AA meeting? Not very often. When we drew near to him, he disclosed himself to us. Exclamation point. Now we've been talking about step 2 here. Came to believe. Came from where? To believe. Where do beliefs go on? In the mind. That a power, not a person, greater than ourselves, see, could do what? Restore, which means put back into an original condition, what?
Us.
To sanity. See, which means that we must have faced something called what? Insanity. Right? Yeah, okay, so everybody understand about step 2 now? Next week we're going to get into step 3, but in order to talk about step 3, we have to talk about the entire program of Alcoholics Anonymous first. And that's why you see all 12 steps on page 59 and page 60. Does anybody in here sell cars? Yeah. So if you're going to buy a car, see, generally you don't just make a phone call and send somebody a check. See, generally what we do if we buy a car is go do something called examine the car. See, whether we know what we're doing or not. See, I never knew what I was doing. I just made a show out of it. Oh, yeah, good engine. Yeah, I know. See, I didn't know. But we go, see, we go right. Nobody else lied like that, you know? See, we go right and kick the tires and how many miles it got on it, and, you know, they take care of the inside, all that. See, we want to check it out before we sign the check and give it to the guy. All right, now, see, we're going to be asked to make a decision at step 3. See, this is a decision, see, which is of, see, you can't say how immense its proportions are because it's a matter of life and death for an alcoholic. You ever heard the cliche in AA, no major decisions in the first year? Anybody heard that? What's step 3? This is the biggest decision any human being will ever have to make. See? And it needs to be made as soon as possible. See? This is a major goddamn decision we're talking about. Okay? Now, in order to make this decision, see, you need to understand what the whole program is before you agree to do it, because the decision includes the doing of the rest of the steps. See? There is a way that the decision gets realized or backed up. See how a person does, in fact, turn his life or his will over to the care of God. Okay, does everybody understand it? See, so we're going to go through all 12 steps, see, so that we understand what we're being asked to do. See, then we talk about making the decision to do that. See, so remember, the guys that wrote the book were all salesmen. See, and this is a selling job. It really is. See, so next week we might get all the way through step 3, but at least we'll get through the 12 steps. So that, see, if you ever have any question about the steps, see, we're going to try and answer all that, make it all clear to you. And, just bring it up in mind, because a lot of what we're going to look at next week, see, may contradict some things you've come to believe by listening to other people in AA, see, who've got differing versions of the program and what the book says. See, this is all very clear-cut, it's very difficult, very precise kinds of things that need to be done if someone wants to be spiritually. Okay.
An announcement about an intensive Bible study that will be starting from the beginning. And it won't be this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after this, which is Halloween night. October 31st at the Zuni Club. And that's the one that's from 7 to 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Now, we might have again, and there's a long smoke break there for those people.
It's a smoke-free club, but not a smoke-free book.
Well, they take smoke breaks.
They have had smoking in the park.
Yeah,